If you guys are planning a trip to Lombok or the Gili Islands, make sure to stick around because we're going to tell you everything you need to know. I'm Walker.
And I'm Ciara.
And we've been living here in Bali for the last 2 years and have visited Lombok many times.
As Bali gets more and more busy, people have started looking towards its neighbor island, Lombok. And for good reason. This paradise really has it all. Beaches, waterfalls, rice terraces, surf, and a great restaurant scene, all just a short ferry ride from Bali.
We're very excited to share with you guys the top things to do, but before we get into it, here's some general information you should know about Lombok.
Lombok is really easy to get to from Bali. The quickest way is to fly. It's about $70 each way, and it only takes under an hour.
The cheapest and longest option is to take the public ferry from Padang Bai to Lembar. This is what we do most of the time because we can take a motorbike on, but it takes 5 to 6 hours, and it only costs around $10 with the motorbike for 2 people, which is pretty awesome.
And then another way that many of you have probably heard of is to go straight to the Gili Islands on a fast boat.
The fast boats take anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 hours, depending on the company you go with. And that's from Senaru. I think it'll shave off like an hour or two if you go from Padang Bai, but then you have to drive up there, which takes around an hour as well. The fast boats are pretty tight and stuffy. They get super hot. And if you leave from Senaru, they will stop in Nusa Penida for a pretty good amount of time. And for some reason in Penida, they always refuel there. And you just get like fumigated out.
Because if you get seasick, you never know what the waves are going to be like. So take that into account and maybe bring some motion sickness pills. The fast boat company we usually book with is Wanderlust, and it's about $20 to $30.
They do a super good job. Let you go up on the top deck. They have like bintangs and they play some music. And the prices are still pretty cheap.
Even adak shop.
They got some adak, some local moonshine too. The guys there are super nice, feels really safe. Do your research about the fast boats. They're always changing. There's always new ones. There's always accidents and things. So yeah, just go on TripAdvisor and find the right company for you. But for us, it's Wanderlust. If you're planning on visiting the Gili Islands to start or finish your trip to Lombok, we would definitely recommend to just take the public ferry. Public ferries leave literally all hours of the day. You just have to wait until the ferry is full. And then, yeah, you're on your way.
And then once you get to the Bangzal Harbor, you don't need to book ahead of time. You can just get a motorbike there. Or if you want a car, there's tons of drivers who would be willing to drive you anywhere.
But for Lembar, which is the public ferry, I don't really think there is as much infrastructure for tourists there. Yeah, so I'm sure you could probably get a driver there, but I didn't see any scooters for hire. If you've been to Bali before, I'm sure you've heard of Gojek or Grab. This is basically the Uber of Indonesia, but in Lombok, you're typically not going to be able to get a ride. You're going to be relying on getting around via scooter or hiring drivers. The prices for cars will range from like 500,000 up to maybe 1.5 million, depending on how far you're traveling in Lombok.
Unless we're going to the Gili Islands, what we normally do is bring our scooters with us and take the slow ferry. If we are going to the Gili Islands, then we just rent a scooter out there on the harbor. And
we'll just rent for like a week from Bangsal and just do like a bit of a motorbike trip around Lombok. We actually just finished a series of us traveling around Lombok on a little motorbike trip. Yeah, we'll put the video up here if you want to watch it afterwards. If you're planning on doing a motorbike trip around and you kind of have a lot of bags, that can be a bit of a problem. You can actually leave things at a luggage storage. There's one in Senaru Port that has great reviews. It's pretty affordable.
As always, if you're going to be driving a scooter, please be very careful, wear your helmet. And if you don't have a good amount of experience, we don't recommend you trying this trip at all if you're going to be motorbiking. In that case, we would suggest definitely just taking a car.
For the most part, though, I will say Lombok's roads are really nice. Good, especially down south in Kuta. Traffic is like nothing like compared to here. But yeah, with that being said, I will say most people we know have gotten into a motorbike crash. Luckily, none of them have gotten into a bad one, but it does happen. And that's why we definitely recommend getting some good travel insurance. I'm sure you guys have heard of Safety Wing. We actually are using Genki. Genki will cover motorcycle accidents, even if you don't have a proper motorcycle license.
It also covers various other activities. If you were to get hurt, it covers things like if you get pregnant and you need to give birth at a hospital, it covers that.
Yeah, Safety Wing doesn't cover that.
Cancer.
Go give Genki a look. We have a link down below. It's a great way to help support us.
The best time to visit Lombok is the same time as the best time to visit Bali, which is from May to October. If you've watched any of our past Lombok videos, you would have seen that we got stuck in some pretty big rainfalls, and that's because we went outside of those months.
We traveled early April. I'd say for the most part, even during that week, it was just raining like, the middle of the afternoon for maybe an hour. I think it's just best to try to travel outside of that if you're going to be doing a motorbike trip, because then you'll get stuck in a lot of rain.
And Lombok is pretty different to Bali culture-wise because it's mostly a Muslim island, so you want to make sure that you're traveling around Ramadan.
We didn't take this into consideration, and pretty much everything shuts down. All the restaurants during the day shut down, hotels, and in some of the more remote villages where we were, we literally could not find food until the sun was down. If you're in Kuta, Lombok, or the Gilis, I think that Ramadan shouldn't really be affecting you too much. It's so touristy, there'll still be restaurants and stuff open for you.
Now, with all that information out of the way, we can finally get into the good stuff, all the best things to do in Lombok. First off, we already mentioned it, we're going to start with the Gili Islands.
These islands are little slices of paradise without any cars, no motor vehicles. Time just slows down out there. We're going to give you a little bit of information about all the islands because they're all a bit different. Gili T we'll start off with, which is the most popular, dare I say our favorite? I think it is our favorite.
Yeah.
I hate how when we are going to break these up into categories, we're going to be summarizing the whole island, and it's not really how it is. There's some overlap between the three of them, and I feel like Gili T's just kind of has everything in a weird way.
It's a little bit busier compared to the other two. So there's more conveniences, there's more people, there's more parties. It's just, in my opinion, a little bit more fun. It's more vibrant.
But if you want to get away from the crowds and be on a serene beach, you can go down to the southeast side of Gili T. You're totally away from pretty much most people during the day. It feels like there isn't a huge trade-off really by going to Gili T, in my opinion. I will say the reefs though in Gili T are not as good as the other ones, but they have more turtles. So the nightlife in Gili T can be super fun. We definitely recommend checking out the night market for at least one night. We got a bunch of fresh fish.
So if you're booking accommodation on Gili T, one thing you should keep in mind is most things are on the east side of the island. So if you book on the opposite side, you're going to have to walk or ride a bike to all the way the other side.
Which can take 10 minutes with a bike and upwards to 30 minutes walking. The horse carriages, which is one of the only ways to get around, we definitely kind of frown upon it. It still seems like a lot of these horses are malnourished and not getting enough water and foaming out of their mouths and stuff. So we've never supported the horse carriages, and I would appreciate if you guys consider doing the same.
Okay, so Gili Meno is the island in between Gili T and Gili Air, and this one is the quietest island.
So quiet.
But I think it's a little bit busier now. There is a new resort there called Le Pirate.
And there's another one
lot
too.
Of those resorts.
There's a big beach club that just opened in front of the statue, which the statue is another cool thing.
Yeah.
There, I'm sure you guys have seen it on Instagram. Snorkeling trips from any of the islands, they will take you to that statue and all around the other islands that you aren't staying on.
So even if you stay on one island, you can still visit the other two.
Yeah, the snorkeling trips
stay on all three.
Pretty affordable. You can do private or you can go with a group. But yeah, overall, Meno is really quiet, and I feel like a great place to go if you totally want to get away from the crowds and you're okay with maybe just a couple restaurants where you're going to stay at your resort area. It's for the people that really just want to escape
true
the
vacation,
craziness and
true
just
relaxation.
Yeah, you really want to slow down a lot. That would be the island to go to for sure. Or if you want the best reefs, I think Meno has the best diving. On to the last Gili, but definitely not least, Gili Air.
Yes, this island is the closest one to Lombok, and for that reason also has tons of conveniences.
It's not as built up as Gili T, but I'd say it's more up and coming, more trendy. There's going to be a lot newer cafes here. It kind of feels like Canggu a little bit, it just feels trendy. There's just a bunch of new stuff versus Gili T feels not dated, but a lot of the restaurants have been around a bit longer. It's just a cool island. I'm so torn between liking Gili T and Gili Air more. I don't know. I like them both so much.
Gili Air really doesn't have very many parties. So if you like to party, it has maybe some on the weekend.
Yeah.
So the trend for these islands, as you guys have seen, is snorkeling, good food, some parties, and relaxing.
We put together everything we know about Lombok into our Google Maps travel guide bundle. What makes this unique over any of the other travel guides on the market is that we actually included all the information inside of Google Maps on your phone. It's super accessible on the fly, and you can just open up the app and see what's around you to do, best restaurants, all that things will just be right in your Google Maps. Our Nusa Penida travel guide, and we've actually been already selling this Lombok one with good reviews as well. Definitely go give it a look. We're also including our exact GPS locations to where we take our photos with tips on best time of day, how to get there, what lenses you should use, and just general advice and tips to get the best photos. And then to supplement some information like itineraries, what to pack, and other information that we couldn't put into Google Maps, we have a travel guide ebook as well. So, and then just to top it off again even more, we're throwing in a couple presets from our Tropical Hues preset pack that you can try out. They're both mobile and desktop versions, so those are just kind of a little freebie thrown in there as well. I feel like this is everything you need to have an awesome trip. We have 40% off for you guys. Coupon is down below. Go check it out. We really appreciate your support, and I genuinely believe that this guide will help make your trip even better.
Number 2 on the best things to do in Lombok is exploring Senaru, where you have rice fields and waterfalls, and one of our favorite waterfalls.
What is it called? Kulep. Insane waterfall. Can't get enough of that one. There's also a really fun river canal thing that's up on a bridge, like, 30 feet off the ground, and you can, like, ride down this canal. Is super fun. I had like a blast doing that.
Jump in, ride down, and it takes you to this tunnel, which you can walk through later to get back up.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hike to get there. I generally would recommend getting a guide for it. I know you don't need them. You can kind of follow the stream up, but I feel like it's a good way to support the local community there. And
they're really not that expensive.
And it is a bit further of a hike than most waterfalls you'll be visiting in like Bali, for example, where you just like drive up and you're like right there.
Because if we also didn't get that guide, we would have never known that you could do that to get into the canal.
Yeah. And we would have not walked through the tunnel. There's no way we would have done it by ourselves. It was fun.
Their perks.
Yeah. There's 2 waterfalls down there. So when you first get down the stairs, there'll be a nice big waterfall. From that one, it's maybe a 30-minute hike over to Kulep, the beautiful, iconic waterfall. So.
I think when you think of Lombok, you think of this waterfall. It's like one of the more viral locations in Lombok, for
I think some people think it's part of Bali, like the Gilis, but it's not. It's Lombok. We would highly recommend staying at Kulep Homestay. This place was so cheap, and the hosts were so lovely. Like, he was such a wonderful guy. And it's right next to the entrance. They took care of us, fed us, everything. You don't need AC up there. It's pretty cold. Yeah, it's just overall really good experience.
Another thing that you can do in this town is visit the oldest mosque in Lombok.
Definitely check out the rice terraces in Senaru. They're super beautiful. We include a pin on how to get there in our Google Maps pins. And in Senaru, there's a couple other kind of hidden spots that we've included in our travel guide as well. Senaru is a must visit, really beautiful town with beautiful rice terraces, waterfalls. You probably only need, I'd say 2 days, 1 night is like perfect for Senaru. It's a quick little stop.
Okay, number 3 on the list is exploring all the beaches in South Lombok. There are so many beaches there. Kuta is one of our favorite areas to stay so that we can base there and then go out and explore. And some of our favorite beaches are Tanjangan, might be our number 1 favorite there.
It's so like tranquil, and the sand is super white. The barongs are very affordable. Like, they don't charge for sunbeds, most of them. You just have to get like a coconut or something. It's just an awesome spot, honestly. Surfing there as well is really good, but we'll get to that later. And then another favorite beach is Selong Balanuk. This beach is known for like the famous water buffaloes on the beach photograph.
I love that beach.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the water buffaloes on the beach, but apparently they come out around sunset. The beach is very long, like most of beaches down in the south.
I love this beach for catching sunset. Has literally the best views. The sun is just right there. The water is gleaming, and there's tons of boats, and even locals come to play in the water, and I just love that beach.
And then last but not least on our favorite beaches is the pink beaches in Ekes. These are a bit further to reach from Kuta. They can take about 1.5 hours or 2 hours each way, and the roads were pretty terrible when we did it, but it's been years since we've ventured out to these pink beaches. The beaches are pretty pink. It's from like a red coral. I wouldn't say they're as pink as the ones in like Komodo on Padar Island. Like, those are very pink beaches, but they are pretty cool to check out. There's quite a few in the area, and definitely a worthy spot on your to-do list down in the south shore of Kuta. So the next on the list is learn to surf, or to go surf if you're like a good surfer. Basically, Kuta is a great place for beginners up to professional level. If you're a beginner surfer, like first time or first 5 times ever out surfing, you should go to Selong Balanak. That place is a really good one to learn because the break is basically just like white water and it's just off the beach, so you don't have to like paddle out or take a boat. My personal favorite place to surf in Lombok is Tanjangan, but this break is pretty far out. You have to hire a boat, but I feel like this is a place where you can actually catch like a nice greeny wave, but it can actually get pretty big there too, depending on the swell. So kind of have to like keep an eye on it and talk with locals. And there's like tons of other surf spots. I'm not a great surfer, but I've heard of Maui's, and I'm sure there's like, you know, hundreds of different places to surf there, but those are the 2 kind of beginner intermediate places to go. So
another activity we love to do in Lombok is yoga. One of our favorite places is in Kuta, and it's called Ashtari, and it's just this beautiful yoga shala that's overlooking the jungle. You have views of the beach. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's really a breathtaking place for sure. The drop-in's not too expensive, and the instructors always do a really good job. Yeah, they even did like a sound bath on the last one, which was super cool. I've never experienced that. It was actually really relaxing. Yeah, you can also do yoga in the Gilis. Gili Air is pretty popular for yoga retreats. And then we wanted to kind of continue on with this Kuta trend, go experience Kuta's restaurant scene. We were kind of blown away. Like,
there are a limited amount of restaurants in comparison to like Canggu, right? There's enough that you can still get a variety of food, but every restaurant you go to is amazing.
So good.
And cheaper than Bali.
Yeah, the prices are really good. The produce is super fresh. Yeah, the people who are running the restaurants there just know what they're doing. And every place we've been to, it's just like, even being back in Bali, like we crave, what's the Mexican place?
Cantinas. Cheese and bean quesadilla.
Just hits like home, man. All of our restaurant recommendations will be in our Google Maps travel guide pins. So yeah, we'll have all of them for the Gilis as well in there.
Okay, moving on to the next topic. Mount Rinjani. Everybody knows it. You've heard of Lombok, you know Rinjani. It is such a popular thing to do. We did it years ago, and it was probably, to this day, the hardest thing we've ever done.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start with it.
Moment of silence. Because that's how hard it was.
Yeah, so there's a ton of different options and different routes, especially these days. They keep opening up new ways to get to the summit and stuff. Typically, what most people do is the 3 days, 2 night option, which is what we did. You basically, the first day, you're going to climb up to the crater rim. You'll do quite a bit of elevation. It gets really steep towards the last like 30 minutes of the hike. And then you camp on the crater rim. Then you wake up at 2 a.m. and you do the summit hike, which is so hard. You feel like it's going to be fairly easy.
It's like this all the way up. Like you're like
problem,
this, and then you're 2 steps
it's like
forward,
sand.
1 step back.
Yeah, so you're just always sliding back, and the altitude really starts to hit you up there. I was getting pretty bad altitude sickness, like kind of ice pick headaches. So after you do summit, you're gonna hike down, you get breakfast, and then you're gonna go into the crater. So actually Rinjani, thousands of years ago, used to be a massive volcano, and then it actually blew up like Mount St. Helens, the whole top, and it caused like a mini ice age around the entire world, like dropping the global temperature by like a few degrees, which is pretty nuts. But yeah, you'll go into that crater and there's a hot spring, which is super refreshing and nice. I will say the hardest thing about the whole trek for me was the end of day 2. You have to hike back out of the crater, and it is super, super steep and kind of dangerous. So maybe if we were to do it again, we might add another day and actually camp inside the crater just to cut out that last bit. Really help make it a little bit easier, and you can enjoy more of it and slow down a bit.
And we're going to just tell you this, do your research, because we didn't when we went and we were so underprepared.
Yeah, you're going to want to be in good shape. I'd say good gear. Hiking poles, like I remember just seeing people with poles and I'm like, man, like that just would be so nice to take some weight off my knees. Just get some like decent gear. There are some shops in Lombok that you can buy these items. Yeah, it's not like Mount Batur. Mount Batur here is like this easy sunrise hike that everyone does, and I feel like Rinjani is kind of advertised as much as Mount Batur, but it's an actual like trek, and you know, obviously multiple days.
Yeah, it's really funny when we meet other travelers that have done Rinjani, and we can all agree that's the hardest thing we've ever done.
Yeah, we all can relate to that, and it's a great experience. The view is really amazing. Overall, incredibly beautiful. Definitely one of the most iconic volcanoes and hikes that you can do in all of Indonesia. Just prepare yourself. It's going to be pretty tough, but definitely a worthy thing to consider doing.
We are next exploring Tetebatu, which is such a beautiful area and what Ubud might have looked like 20 years ago. Here you can find waterfalls, rice terraces, and a black monkey forest.
The black monkeys are pretty rare in Indonesia, but this is one of the best places to see them. Do know they are really shy, so be super quiet. And in the main area where the black monkey forest is, there's quite a bit of leeches. So try to stay on the path, because we made the mistake of going into the brush and we had like tons of leeches all over our legs, which was really gross. And we didn't even get a good photo or video of them because they just ran away. We're going to touch on some of the waterfalls in the Tetebatu area. Balong Kalambu is technically like west, probably 30-45 minutes, but the closest like tourist-ish town would be Tetebatu. This waterfall, very iconic, super gorgeous. It can get a little busy because it's a bit closer to Kuta than Kalep is up in the north. It is really beautiful, and the water is so clear and like nice and refreshing. There's like a pool down there that you can swim in if you want. But yeah, overall Tetebatu is a must visit. A great place to like unwind and relax. Like CR said, pretty much like Ubud 20 years ago.
So we touched on the Gili Islands, but what you probably don't know is there are some more down south.
The secret Gilis.
This one that we went to is called Gili Asahan, and it's a small island.
Yeah, it's smaller than
But
Gili.
It's more like there's some resorts there, eco lodges. It's like very beautiful beaches, amazing snorkeling. We got on kayaks.
Yeah, there's lots of islands you can go explore.
The eco lodge we stayed at, Gili Asahan Eco Lodge, had literally some of the best food I've had.
The food was insane. They had like an Italian restaurant, and like
the owner or the
literally
they must be Italian or from Europe.
As good as in Italy. Like just blew me away because I felt like we were pretty off the beaten path. Yeah, Gili Asahan Eco Lodge. You've probably seen things on Instagram with people like walking with like horses on the beach and in the water, and that's this place. They have some rescue horses from the other Gili Islands that they take care of, and they do little like photo shoots and stuff with them on the beach. It's super fun.
One other thing about Gili Asahan is at nighttime, the stars are some of the best we've seen.
They really were. It was amazing. We got kind of unlucky when we were there because there was huge like south swell, so the water clarity was like pretty murky for us, but I've been following Gili Asahan Eco Lodge on Instagram for a while, and like everything they post like recently, it's just like so clear. It looks clearer than the other Gili Islands. All this footage you've seen with the water murky, it literally never looks like that. Yeah,
and the you might get unlucky like us, but most of the year it's really clear.
Yeah, the reefs around there are surprisingly really good. The main islands to stay at down in the secret Gilis is Gili Asahan, which is the one we've been talking about, and then Gili Gede. I've heard mixed things about Gede. It's quite a bit cheaper to go to, but I've heard there's a lot of trash. So I would try to stay on Gili Asahan if you can. But we haven't personally been there. That's just what we've heard. And then to finish off, top things to do in like the Kuta area, we would definitely recommend renting a villa in Kuta.
We took all of our best friends with us to rent a villa, and it was so fun.
Yeah, we stayed at Villa Sorgas, and it was, I mean, next level. Like a lot of these villas have these infinity pools that just overlook like these massive sprawling beaches, and you got this nice infinity pool with just the most amazing like sunset views and stuff. It was just so special. Like it was like a total dream staying there. And the big villas are surprisingly affordable as well.
Especially if you have a group of people, it just cuts it up so much for you.
Yeah, so I felt like we should add that on here because it's definitely a unique experience.
You could do that in Bali too, but I will say it's cheaper to do it in Lombok.
And to get an infinity pool into the ocean is like pretty rare.
Because in Bali, where all the luxury villas, most of them are like in Canggu.
They're like concrete jungles.
And
maybe you get a rice paddy view, but to get like an ocean view is
a jungle view with an ocean view.
Yeah, that's what you get down in Kuta.
The last thing on our best things to do in Lombok is go exploring Sembalun.
This mountainous village is definitely off the beaten path a bit. It's so beautiful. There's mountains all around and tons of beautiful hikes. One that we would definitely recommend, or a viewpoint, it's not so much of a hike, is Bukit Selong. You've probably seen this on Instagram as well, maybe, but it has this really cool viewpoint overlooking a bunch of farmland with these massive mountains in the back. It just looks so cool. And you can actually hike up this ridge further to Bukit Powell, which is what we did for one of the sunrises, and it was really beautiful as well. But this whole area, there's tons of other hikes. You can also start or end Rinjani from here as well.
Keep in mind that this area is quite a bit cooler, like we said, mountainous village, so you're definitely going to want to bring pants and a sweater if you choose to head that way.
Oh, something really random. There's like this little amusement park thing, and they have one of those little bikes that go on a wire. It's kind of just a stupid little like thing that I feel like I've always wanted to do. So you got time to kill like we did. It's kind of a silly, fun thing. And yeah. I mean, the view behind it is pretty amazing. So yeah.
That is it for our top things to do in Lombok. Of course, we have other pins and things in our guides that you should definitely check out.
If you want like all of the exact locations, we have like a secret tide pool that we found that's really amazing and it's pretty tricky to get to, but we've got all the information on how to get there. That water oasis, all our photography, like exact photo GPS locations. We've got everything you need in depth in our travel guide bundle, so go give it a look. We got a good discount code for you guys down below. Go use that.
We only give it to the YouTube crowd.
We hope this helped you guys a ton with your Lombok planning, and we also hope that you have an amazing trip. It's such a beautiful island, so much incredible scenery and friendly people.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this on your trip to Indonesia. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, and please like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you in the next one.